Choke, no joke, no joke, no joke, no joke. You know what it is.
In 900 feet, turn left on 12th Street.
What up, what up, what up, world? This is Mistah F.A.B representing Oakland, California. We all have a story to tell and a lesson to learn. This is just my story. The air way, not the other way.
Check it out. Choke, no joke. Learn from mistakes. DJ S&S the great. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon. No telling when you be a first-time felon. It ain't no telling you be a first-time felon.
Yo, what's going on? It's Mistah F.A.B, and this is my story coming out of my mouth. What's going on? Oakland, California representative, born and raised in Oakland, California. How old am I? I don't know how old I am. I don't know if I want to tell my real age on this thing, man. You're never supposed to ask a king his age, man.
How would you say was your upbringing? Poor, middle class, or rich?
Shut the door. The way I was raised, growing up in Oakland, California, we were poor, but didn't realize we were poor. And why I say I didn't realize I was poor, because my mother did the extra to fill in the void of which was left in the infancy. I lived two parts of my life before I reached an adult. I had, in my adolescent ages and childhood, in the infancy stages, my mother was on drugs and my father was on drugs. And my mother would do, she would give her money to the dope man before she gave it, to take care of her family and provide for her family. Once my mother got clean, she made a vow to spoil me beyond measure, whatever she could do. So she would work 3-4 jobs to take away the reality that we were actually poor. And living in the buildings, living in Section 8 homes and things of that nature, you really didn't realize that you were poor, because when I looked up, I had everything that a child wanted. I had all of the brand new Jordans, I had the video game systems and things of that nature. But as you get about 16, 17, you begin to realize, wow, we really are poor. You start to analyze your neighborhood and doing an analytical dissectomy of your neighborhood. You start looking at it like, wow, my neighbor, this person's on drugs, and I'm in a real low income environment, and we actually are poor. But my mother did a great job of disguising it, and I'll forever honor her for that.
All right, cool. Did you grow up in a single or co-parenting home?
My father died. I grew up in a single mother home. My mother, a single parent home. My daddy died when I was 11 years old, 12 years old. He died to complications with HIV. And my mother did the best that she could of being a great mother-father. She married when I was around 13, and I have a wonderful stepfather that's still alive to this day, who was a blessing, because he took up a woman that had been going through a lot of things. He dealt with a lot with my mother. My mother was a hard act to follow, and she was someone who came with a lot of baggage. And he did a great job, man. He was and I credit him for that till this day. And you don't normally see a lot of people giving credit to their step parents because of, they're not their biological parents. And so the respect level is not always at the highest level, but I have nothing but the utmost respect for my stepfather, because here it is, a man who came in dealing with a woman that was recovering from drugs, and she had her demons, being very overprotective of her only child. Where in many cases and scenarios, she would put me before him. And that's very challenging for a man to deal with when you're marrying a woman. So my mother put him through a lot of stuff, man. But, he stayed there, he stayed firm, and he's a man's man. He told me the gift of getting up every day, of going to work. I never seen him not go to work. I'm talking about, this is a guy that worked every day, who didn't drink, who didn't smoke, who didn't have any vices, that was visible for a youth, a negative influence. And he was a great man. And he showed me what it was like to go work for what you believe in. And he got up every day and he worked. He worked very hard and took a lot of responsibilities that he didn't have to take. And I respect him.
Remember Shaq had that joint about his stuff.
Oh, for sure. That was one of my favorite songs. I'm Outstanding by Phil.
Yeah.
Most definitely. It's one of my favorite records.
As a kid, what did you think you were going to be in life?
Once I set my mind on what it is that I wanted to be in life, that's what I drove for, and I tried to continue to push forward towards that. I mean, early in the ghettos across America, you know, everybody wants to play sports. So it was, you know, hoop dreams, and it was, you know, those sports dreams that as you get older, you begin to be like, well, school, money, hustling, girls, really different distractions that challenge your discipline. But once I set my mind on saying that this is what I wanted to do musically, I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to be an author, I wanted to be some form of influencer with my, in the position that I was in through words. And once I set my mind on that, man, I've been on it ever since.
Cool. What would you say was your first career choice?
My first career choice was basketball, but that was a dream. I think that when we're young, we confuse dreams for career choices. Now, that would be a career of preference if that's something that we wanted to do, but it's not a career until you're able to be paid for it and until you're able to reap the benefits of that labor. But we all had childhood dreams of, you know, taking it to the next level of being a sports, someone involved in sports, and we all played sports growing up. But I think I had my mind set on wanting to be an artist, entertainer, 15, 16. 14, 15, like, you know, from drama classes and a lot. And my mother invested in that. My mother invested in, one thing about her, she invested in me and my dreams. So it was never about how was I going to fund them. It was always just going after them. And that's something that even made me feel more passionate about following them once I got on that course.
How far did you get in your education?
I went to college. Graduated high school, went to college. I took classes at college. African American Studies minor, very, and then I did curriculum on my own of building from an education. You know, you go through where we're from. We go through the Bay Area is the home of revolution. It's the home of people that challenge the status quo and the social digest and the social unjust. And many of us developed, we're children of Huey Newton, we're children of, you know, the Black Panther Party and other social groups that go against the reform of, you know, what's going on with the normal. So during those school times, I was like, well, I'm not gonna go into the systematic form of curriculum. I'm gonna create my own education of self-educated. You begin to dive into that. And so I stopped going to school, just picked up like personal studies, but I would study like I was in school. You know what I'm saying? I would study like I was in school. So I think a high school diploma with a lot of credits in college that I could finish if I feel like going back.
On the sidebar, like you said, like y'all from, you know, the school of Huey P. Is that kind of the reason why it's not a strong gang presence in Oakland? Like y'all police y'all own, kind of like, because I'm sure it's probably gangs here, but it's not heavy as it is other places.
Well, there's no gangs here in Oakland. There's no, well, the gangs that people have known to understand, like when we talk about Bloods and Crips,
Right.
talk about, you know, P-Stones, GDs, and things of that nature. There's none of that is here. Now we have blocks and hoods that have formed gang ties, and from a distance it would look the same. It plays out in the same characteristics of gang members. And now with the culture of all of the young guys always gang this, gang that, it can be confused for that. But you must understand, in the infancy stages of the Bloods and Crips, they're offsprings of the Panthers. There were community organizations that were created in the curation to protect their communities and govern their own communities. So the offspring of the Bloods and Crips were from Black Panthers, and they stood for other things. It was like brothers against, like it was certain different things. Like the original meaning of what Crips meant And what Bloods meant were about community reform, about black men protecting, governing, and policing their own communities. And so they're the offsprings of the Black Panthers. And from Huey Newton here to Bunchy Carter in LA, you see similarities in their movements. But the Bloods and Crips were never able to infiltrate here, the politics of Oakland, because of a strong Black Panther uprooted, socially conscious brothers that were here.
At what age do you feel you became an adult?
I didn't become an adult till my mother died. And my mother died when I was 27, 28. And the reason why I say that is because I knew that I would always have a crutch and a cushion. And in life, crutches and cushions are those points where we never fall and fully hit the ground. We never hit the asphalt. We always have something to hold us down. There's a mattress there. When my mother died, it removed the crutch and the cushion. And the reality of I had no one to fall on, that I had, if I failed, then I would fall and hit the concrete. I began more mindful of my steps. And steps became calculated after that, because it wasn't just reckless living. It wasn't just moving. It just wasn't, oh, I could do this. And at the end of the day, I know right or wrong, heaven or hell, my mother's going to be there for me. And when she died, that was removed from me. And that made me address adulthood like I had never addressed it before in life. And I feel like that's the age that I became an adult. Responsibilities of just simple things, even as paying bills. Like I would always, nowadays we have auto pay and things like that. We got auto pay, but my mom was auto pay every month. Take this. She pay all the bills, do all the, secretarial work and things of that nature. But once that was removed, it was more so like, oh damn, I owe $700 on this. Oh, I got to pay the bill. And it wasn't that I didn't have it. It's just you're so used to having that program. When that program was removed, I had to look adulthood in the eye, and it was very challenging because for so long my mother was not only my best friend, but we had a mother-son relationship, a brother-sister relationship. It was, we played several different roles, and we grew up together. My mother had me when she was young, so we grew up together. So it's very different when you're dealing with those kind of situations in a maternal type situation with moms. It's tough. So I say about 27, 28.
At what age were you when you made the career choice that most people know you for?
15. 15 when I decided that rap was what it was that I wanted to do.
What were the early struggles pursuing your career as an artist, and how did you overcome them?
Our early struggles are no different than in any other field of career of choice. You deal with the fear of climbing. Where we're from a city where people are afraid to be successful due to the fact that everyone that we see that is successful, they're killed, or they're jailed, or they're in prison, or they're robbed. So when people become a victim of their own success, then they're isolated in solitude. And no one wants to live like that. What is the beauty of having everything in the world with no one to share it with? So many of us are afraid of climbing up the success ladder due to that, to how we will be perceived. So those are very challenging stigmas that plague inner city America. And I won't even just limit it to inner city America. This is worldly things. People are afraid to be judged. People are afraid to be embarrassed. People are afraid to be scrutinized. And those are things that are very challenging. Those are some things that we deal with. It's very turbulent, trying to figure out, is this what I really want to do? The difference between dedication and will this hard work pay off? The doubt. And in any career choice, these are things that prevent other people from climbing up. Some people they aren't able to hurdle those obstacles. So adversity is very challenging to some, but you have to dedicate yourself on just moving forward, no matter what, through the good and through the bad.
Did you have anyone close to you that doubted you as an artist?
I think a lot of people doubt you. And it's not so much about doubt from a negative point of view, it's just no one makes it from where we're from. So what makes you so special? And I don't think that they doubt you to the level of, well, not the close ones, because skepticism of people who will be just negative, that's just who they are. But your close friends are just like, yeah, it's cool, I believe you. And then when you're the only dreamer of your clique, you want everybody to share your dreams. But as you get older, and if those dreams aren't including them, then they have to do their own thing. And when reality hit, some of my friends had children early. Some of my friends had other responsibilities that impacted them far more than what my dreams were able to provide at that time. They had to go do what it was. Some of my friends became men earlier than I did due to the abundance of responsibilities that was thrown upon them. So they had to do what they had to do to take care of their families, to take care of themselves. So as they ventured off, it wasn't doubt. It was just, I got to deal with life. I can't just live on and hang on to your dream. I like to look at myself like Peter Pan. You know, sometimes I stay in my own world and I feel like everybody's going to always just be in my world. And I could fly around all day with the Lost Boys, with the homies, and I could laugh and I could giggle, but everyone doesn't have that luxury. And everyone doesn't have that free of responsibility to dream and live and vicariously through imagination. Everyone doesn't have that. And I had to humble myself to my friends, to the women in my life that I've dealt with, that you would think would just wait around and linger for you when they move forward in their life. Emotionally, you're attached to them, but it's selfish because you want to be attached to them, but you're not allowing yourself to see their progression. They only get a chance to watch you grow, but you're not allowing them to grow. And it's actually staggering. And you're stagnating people in your life. And if you really truly love someone, you have to allow them to be emancipated. And if they come back, then that's what was meant to be. But those are the things that go through. So, doubt is relative when speaking of it, because sometimes we're just suspects of situations.
Who would you say was your biggest support system?
My mother was my biggest supporter. No matter what I did, like I say, right or wrong or right, she was my biggest fan. And she was my biggest promoter, my biggest fan, my biggest critic. And it wasn't even critic as far as criticizing. She would criticize me or critique me when I wasn't on my game. It wasn't about her critiquing my art. It was more so about her critiquing when I would get lazy or when I would become comfortable or when I would advocate away from situations that would move me forward, that would limit the forward trajectory of which I wanted to be. And when she saw that, she would call me out on it. So she was my life coach, a friend. She was everything, and my biggest supporter.
Outside of your family, who would you say, in as far as business or in the entertainment field, were some of the people that supported you to help you get to success?
I'm a product of a huge support system. My whole city is behind me. And initially, it wasn't always like that because you got to grind, but you got to go claim your spot. And once you claim your spot and they see that I come from Oakland, California, man. So it's just anybody just can't rep Oakland. Like they're going to do a real tough background check on you. And it's going to be like, hold on, wait, man, you ain't from Oakland. You grew up 2 miles outside the city, or, well, it gets serious here. But once you show that you're dedicated and you're proven to claim what it is that you're representing, and you get the right nods from certain individuals, they get behind you. So fortunate enough at this time in my career, I got the whole city behind me. So the support system is great. I'm talking about from prison politics to street politics to certain things that leave you exempt from the normal scrutiny that others may have to go through. Hold on, bro, that's F.A.B. Be cool, bro. Watch out. You good, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Climates where most people are not good at, and that's humbling, but it also comes with responsibility. And as we step into phases of our purpose, we must adhere to the responsibility that is at hand. Many people shy away from responsibility because they lack leadership qualities or they lack the discipline in leadership. So it's definitely something that grows us up. It matures you fast to be able to accept that. Because when you accept the love, that means that you're accepting the responsibility. And people may love you for now. You have to understand that. Because the same people that clap for you will be the same people that boo you. So you can't get caught up in emotional tirades.
Definitely not. What would you say is your highlight of your life and in your career?
The highlight of my life is having a daughter. has nothing to do with my career. My daughter came to me at a time where my mother was dying, and I was emotionally distraught. I didn't have that crutch or that cushion to lean on anymore. And my daughter came, and now the roles have transferred. So instead of me looking for a crutch and a cushion, I became the crutch and the cushion for her. So it fulfills a role much bigger than me looking for someone. Now I know that someone is looking for me. So I have to be mindful of the things that I do, and I have to be responsible in my acts of leadership, not only as a father, but just basically living, because one slip up can cost you everything. And especially in these deadly waters, one slip up, you'll lose everything. And we're living in the times today where one post on social media can ruin something that it took you 50 years to build. So now I feel like that's my greatest accomplishment of being involved in my daughter's life.
What would be the highlight of your career?
Highlight of my career is still being able to be here. That's a highlight. You know, that's a reward in itself, to be able to say I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm still here. I've never had a job. I've never been to jail. I've never had to sell crack. I've never had to do anything to compromise my dream. I've been living my dream. Never had a job, never worked for no one. Everything that I've done in my life has been funded by my dreams. That's a highlight. You know what I mean? Now, here and there are moments of memory that we clap and we give ourselves dap for, we pat ourselves on the back, and, you know, I'll be fond of those memories. Platinum records of songs that I've wrote for other individuals and different things, tours and worldwide, and, you know, doing things of that nature, things that I credit myself for. I'm not here to advertise my accolades, but I'm appreciative of them. But I think through the midst of all of that, the greatest accomplishment is to still be here, to persevere with the endurance, and still looking forward, and it's still looking promising.
What was the worst moment of your journey?
Worst moment is losing my mother, burying my mother dying in my arms. My mother plays a significant role in my life. You know, there are times where I've prayed to her instead of God. You know what I mean? So it's the roles are weird like that when you're dealing with an only child. And like I say, I grew up with her. So that was the worst moment of my life. And I feel like there can be no bad days in my life, because that was the worst day of my life. Right. So anything other than that can never top me putting my mother dying in my arms. Right. Nothing can be worse than that. Right. And so I'll deal with anything else.
What about in your career?
A few bad moments, turbulent moments, in a career of a young dude who I'm very confident. I'm confident in everything that I do. I think my confidence was built when I utilized confidence as a way to embrace my insecurities. Many of us are insecure about certain things and we shy away from them instead of embracing them. But the balancing of being insecure is you have to be confident and you have to be embracive in the things that you aren't sure about. And the first step of that is admitting it. Admitting that, you know, you may not be good in this area, you may not be good in that area, but I'm very confident. And I don't think there's not a lot of things that can shatter my confidence. But the humbling situations like I've been through. Being banned from the radio. I've been from the radio in my area like 12, 13 years.
Wow.
Just personal politics, being arrogant, being a young, arrogant guy, you know, me now being able to take full responsibility of my involvement in the banning, just being arrogant, being passionate. Sometimes we're passionate about our people and our people aren't passionate about us. And we become sacrificial lambs. Although we make moves feeling as this is the advancement of our people, when your people don't ride with you on those moves, you left out in the dust. Like, damn, like, I did this for us. This is how you did me? So, a few things, but man, I'm still here, bro. So, it couldn't have been that bad. Right. You know what I'm saying? It couldn't have been that bad. I'm still here. If you look at the losses and you learn lessons from them, it's not losses, especially if you apply the lessons. So through all my losses in life, man, I learned lessons. You know what I mean? And I may have been affected at that time because I was emotional and I dealt with things from an emotional point of view. And when you deal with things from an emotional point of view, you're erratic and you're not rationalizing the situation. So you may make an emotional decision. But that goes far to the psychological dichotomy of growing up in single parent homes and mothers and watching your mother respond to ways of things. And most men, we respond to ways of things like our mothers. It's crazy when you break it down to go that far into it. Like you acting like a woman, and it's not intentionally. I'm not calling you gay. I'm not trying to sex play you or nothing. But you watched your mother handle issues like this, so you feel like this is okay to handle issues like that. Like the average person nowadays, if you have a conversation with a man who doesn't have a father or didn't have a father present in his life, and sometimes you're chastising him of what he assumes to be, you could just be having a regular, normal man conversation with this man. But since he's never had a man in his life, he's feel like he's getting chastised, or he's feeling like you're demoting his pride. And emotional people are usually the most uninformed. So they're going to act erratic. They're going to act emotionally. So being young, just, acted emotional, man, on certain situations, but it was all lessons. And it's helped me to where I am nowadays. And, I'm happy about it.
Without naming names, what was your best relationship? Personal, like with a female, and in business?
What woman has played a significant role in my life?
What was your best relationship?
I don't know. It's my daughter's mom is a great woman. She dealt with a lot. I put her through a lot. This is a woman who went against her whole family for us to exist. A woman who grew up in a Jehovah's Witness home, and you deal with the scrutiny of that. If anyone that knows what it's like to be a witness growing up, it's very tough when you talk about wedlock, you talk about all these other things, man, and she risked all of that. And very supportive of my career early. And opened up my mind and the horizon of the importance of travel and things like that. She's a very worldly woman, and not saying of the world, but I mean a traveling woman. Very good woman, and will always remain a friend, even our turbulent relationship. Very good friend, but I won't say a multitude, but there are some significant women that have played a major role in the maturation of who I am today. Not saying it as if I'm just some misogynistic creep who sleeps around with several women, but I've had a nice amount of women in my life. But it wasn't just about sex. Some of them I've grown with, some of them I've matured with, some of them I've learned from, some of them have nurtured a side of me that wasn't always there, the side of me that I wouldn't open up to others. So when I think about it, there have been some very significant women in my life that I'm very thankful of. And at the time, I may not have done right by them totally. But while I'm still living, I have a chance to not only make amends, but make what can be right. I can't right my wrongs, but I can right new rights. And that's what it's about with me. And that's what growth is about. You know, being happy for someone, even if you're not the one that's creating their happiness. But also being thankful and being mindful of who was there for you when no one else was.
Right. Who would you say, what was your best relationship in business?
I don't know. I didn't have any bad business relationships. You know what I'm saying? I'm still best friends with my best friend since preschool. Like, so that just goes to, like, I don't sabotage relationships and friendships like that. Like, if we dogs, like, you my people. Like, I've never fucked nobody intentionally. Like, you know what I'm saying? With malice. And if I've ever done anything to anyone, they had it coming. You know what I mean? And not to say that from a vindictive point of view, but I've never fucked anybody. So I still do business with people that I've been doing business with for years. The Gary Archers and, you know, the people that have been there in the beginning of my career. I'm still rocking with them. I'm still cool with them. So, and that's how it is with me. Like, you know what I mean?
What was your worst relationship, personal, without mentioning their names?
I don't know, bro. Everything's been a lesson, you know?
In business?
Me being irresponsible, dealing with Jennifer Justice, and I know you didn't say no names, but I want to, every chance I get, I want to talk about Jennifer Justice. Jennifer Justice was my lawyer at the time. I had just signed to Atlantic Records. I signed a nice 6-figure deal. A young guy, and she's very important. Let's just fast forward to who Jennifer Justice is now. She's Jay-Z's personal lawyer. Like, and she's done everything for Jay, like, since Reasonable Doubt. He's always had her in his corner doing things, and now I think she's maybe the head lawyer or head legal advisor over at Rock Nation or Live Nation. It's somewhere around there. That just goes to show the magnitude of what she represents and who she is. And I was about 25, and she was she had took me on as a client for a favor from a friend. So she wasn't doing she wasn't in need of any work. She did I did a song for Baby Bash. And the song was with Pimp C. It was one of the last songs that Pimp C did. It was me, Pimp C, and Baby Bash. And the song was, it doesn't matter. That was the name of the record. Universal sent over the paperwork. I sent the paperwork to my lawyer, Jennifer, at the time. She signed it. She sent me an invoice for like $3,500. I'm a town nigga, man. I'm like, man, $3,500, man. I ain't finna give her $3,500. All she did was sign this paper. The fuck? So my people like, yo, like, send her money, man. It's like, you know, she worked this thing. I'm like, bro, I ain't even get 30. What are you talking about? I ain't even get nothing really for this. Just being irresponsible and being young and being dumb, not realizing the power of her signature. I was like, man, I ain't finna pay her, man. I'll pay her when I feel like it. A couple months went by, and sent another invoice, and I was like, man, well, whatever. I had a conversation with a mentor of mine at the time, explained to me the importance of this situation. It was like, bro, you're not paying her $3,500 because she signed the paper. You're paying her because of what she represents and how important her signature is. That $3,500 is nothing. You're in $1 million situation with this woman. And you're in favor with her. If you fall out of favor with her, you'll see how important it is. Send her a check. She sends it back. I was like, you keep your money, I don't want it. I'm like, yo, I got $10,000 for you. Let me send this to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, fly to New York. I'm like, yo, I'm in New York. What's up? Well, she's like, you know what I mean? And I haven't got a chance to talk to her since. You know, and it was a bad business move for me. But it was not understanding business etiquette. It was me being irresponsible and me just being young, dealing with the people that I had had a history of dealing with, not understanding the infrastructure of industry business. And that was the bad business on my part. And that'll always be something on my mind until I'm able to make it right, in which I do plan to make it right one day, you know. Link up with Hov or something and be like, yo, man, call Jen, man, tell her to come through, man, I got her, you know. But I always have a lot of love for her because she did do something for me at a time she didn't have to.
So what have you learned about relationships overall?
Relationships are very important. Relationships are imperative and pivotal in the success of someone staying in the positions or rising in the ranks or falling. One bad relationship can end everything. One good relationship can build everything. It's a melting point. And in the melting point, as well as in the melting pot, it's a blend of everything. Where the radius and the diameter of it, it's like, you know, how you meet in the middle. What's the nucleus? The nucleus is how much of a relationship do you have with this person? We can go to the same club. You could be a millionaire, I could be poor, but I know the bouncer. He gonna let me in. He gonna tell you we at capacity. You know what I'm saying? People think relationships all is about money. It's not about that. It's like you could talk about this homeless dude that's walking out on the street right here and you could say something to him, but then you go to jail, you be locked up with him. This dude he the eldest member of the longest gang. And he like, got your ass, huh? He buff now, he ain't on dope, he the man in there. He might be homeless on the street, but he the man in jail. So relationships are everything.
All right, cool. If you could go back and do it all over, is there anything that you would change?
You change one thing in life, you gotta change everything. I've accepted what I've done. I've accepted my errors. I've accepted all of the obstacles and everything that I've been through in this adventure. If you change one hand that you shook, life would be different. Because that hand that you shook that day took you home. Dude had a cold, you had a cold. Now you caught the cold from that hand. You stayed in the house that day. The day you stayed in the house was the day the block got shot up. The day the block got shot up got shot in the spot that you normally be. You would have got killed that day.
So what would have been different if you paid her that money, that $3,500?
I'd probably be rocking with Jay right now. That's how I look at things, but you know, it's life. But if I didn't, if I would have paid her, I wouldn't have learned the lesson. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have valued it. And I would have continued to make the same mistake.
All right, there's someone somewhere right now that's watching this, that's about to get on the journey that you done took you 50,000 miles down the road. They just getting on. You done passed all the potholes in the road. Which ones can you tell them to look out for, you know, so they can make it to where you got?
The biggest pothole is self. Because we can't see us coming. You know what I'm saying? We can't see us coming. So we have to be mindful of our actions. We have to be, the due diligence of being a good person goes a long ways. Trying your best to stay true to your word, staying focused, the handling of people, being mindful of those who you slight. These all play a big role. Because to you, you may not have thought you slighted someone, but just because of the person that you are and the position that you're in, people are ultra sensitive. So the handling of people. We recently just lost someone that was of great contributions to not only hip hop, but to this world due to the mishandling of someone. And we lose several people like that. You know what I mean? So we got to be mindful of those things. The biggest pothole itself, because we don't get a chance to see us coming. We don't get a chance to see what we're becoming. That's why it's imperative that you only become what you only become You became what you always wanted to become. And that's important to, stay true to self.
What is your focus today in life and in business?
My focus today in life is being there for my daughter, for my children, and continuing to grow in business, continuing to make the contacts, resources with other people that are like-minded to continue to keep growing, to expand and expound, to further our businesses, to learn the full concept of financial literacy, to be able not only to prevail with what we're doing, but to be able to teach others on how they can fully utilize the knowledge to help them excel in their businesses, their family. Many of us, we were only told to get money. We wasn't told what to do with it. You just said, get money. All right, nigga, I'm getting money. But what you doing with it, though? I've watched people with little make way more than those with lots, just based off the fact that they were able to invest, they were able to be frugal when it was time to be frugal, be all in when it was needed. And that's a big component that many of us aren't taught. We aren't taught. And these are the things that in business are key components to those that are successful and those that are stressed the fuck out. What up, what up, what up, world? This is Mistah F.A.B representing Oakland, California. We all have a story to tell and a lesson to learn. This is just my story, the airway.